Okay, here we are, Professor Bill Ashcroft. Thank you so much for making it for us, Um, and we really are very happy and we give you a very warm welcome. Of course, we live in digitization, so this is the way we are addressing. But thank you so much for being here. And for your time, of course, and for your expertise. You have seen our CFP, and I think we would like to begin with what is your thought on that? What is your message about our CFP for the conference?
Well, I thought this topic is extremely important. Represent. Before I start, I'd like to say hello to all, and I'm very pleased to be here. And I'm particularly pleased that I couldn't make it in person, but I could talk, because Pakistan has flown below the radar sometimes in post-colonial studies, and thought this was a great opportunity to come and make contact. But this topic of the humanities is absolutely central. And I want to begin with a story. I was last year elected into the Australian Academy of the Humanities, which is one of several learned societies that a few people are elected into. So our university decided to have a celebration for all the fellows being elected from society and for the centres that were given large grants from the government. So there we were, and we went through the process of congratulating all the fellows, but they forgot to include the Academy of the Humanities. Now, afterwards, they were extremely, they're very sorry and extremely apologetic, but I thought it was symbolic of the standing that humanities has very often in this increasingly technological age. The humanities has struggled for funding, struggled for recognition, and it's really crazy because the humanities are absolutely central. Now first, let's think about what are the humanities, and I'm sure that these sorts of issues will be canvassed in the conference over and over again, but basically, the humanities are the study of how people process the business of being human, how they process and document human experience. And they examine the intrinsic use of living as contrasted to the extrinsic. Now, in Western society, Plato was the first to reveal that to know human beings as whole persons, we needed to know their culture. Now, to me, as a post-colonial theorist, this is absolutely central to the humanities. This is the key to the humanities. It is the collection of ways in which we develop empathy with other cultures. And of course, as we know, the exploration of the humanities develops creativity, develops critical thinking. These things are absolutely central in the professions that are usually regarded as scientific and technological. The Academy of the Humanities produced a volume called The Power of the Humanities, in which there are 21 examples of the humanities being pivotal in an incredibly wide range of enterprises. I'll give you just a sample, just a couple. Enlisting Shakespeare to fight Cain. Making fishing more sustainable through cultural change. Learning lessons from antiquity about coping with grief. And gender studies, transforming the culture of sporting and military groups. So these are just some ways in which the document, The Power of Humanities, showed a specific way in which humanities could increase the power of scientific and technological discourse. Furthermore, over 500,000 people in Australia work in what are called the creative industries. That is more than mining and agriculture in Australia. Now, 500,000 might not seem very much in Pakistan, but it's quite a large amount in Australia. And there's more people work in our two largest, largest industries, individual industries, mining and agriculture. Now, the big issue in Australia and perhaps I'm sure around the world and in Pakistan is innovation. This has become the big buzzword for our minister, for our politicians. It's an extremely big buzzword. And we had at the Academy a research group looked into the top 20 most innovative companies in Australia. And they found that none of these companies used scientific and technological expertise alone. Now, there's two terms we have: STEM industries, it's science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And there's HAS industries, history, arts, social sciences. Every one of these innovative corporations use the HAS the expertise to augment the STEM technologies that they had in their company. Now, the point about this is that the humanities develop capacity to look at things critically, to look at a situation as a whole, to develop ways, creative ways of breaking through problems and impediments. So it's an interesting finding for the Academy. Every innovative company required the use of humanities. So there are some practical ways in which humanities have been incredibly important. But I thought that as I was thinking about this issue, I thought I would leave the image of a tree. Now, on the one hand, humanities, literature, art, history, music, they all track with deep into the roots go deep and are absolutely intimate with happiness and culture. But the branches of the tree reach out and interweave and intermingle with the branches of other trees, of other cultures. The branches are the possibilities for human life, for human thinking that humanities brings. So the branches are about imagining the future. And this, to me, is an absolutely critical thing in literature in particular. Now, I've just produced a book called Utopianism in Post Literature.
Great. We can hear you now without any lag.
I'm the new edition.
All right. Well,
My name is
please.
my name is Saidur Rahman, and you were the examiner of my PhD.
Oh,
What a reference. So we can resume, Professor Ashcroft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was suggesting that the humanities are best understood by the image of a tree. The humanities, the history, art, literature, music, these form roots that go deep into the soil of a culture. But the branches are those possibilities, the possibilities of cultural development, the possibilities of the imagination that reach out and intermingle with other trees, branches, the trees of other cultures. Now, I recently published a book called utopianism in post-colonial literatures. And a very important theorist in this study is the German theorist Ernst Bloch. Now, Bloch was a Jewish Marxist utopian theorist who believed that the very reason for being of art and literature was their utopian function. It's what he called their anticipatory illumination. This anticipatory illumination was the revelation of the possibilities for rearranging social and political relations to produce what he called Heimat, H-E-I-T, the German word for home. That is, for him, that's the home we have sensed, but we haven't. Now, the humanities are instrumental in giving us a capacity for social dreaming. Not only do they have a root deep to the soil of culture, but they give us the capacity of future thinking, or social dreaming. And as I said, this doesn't mean that all works of literature are necessarily optimistic, but they have the capacity of revealing to us that a different world is possible. Now, what I like to say very often is that not all things that we imagine will come to pass, but social change will never come to pass unless it's first imagined. And this is the critical function of literature, and particularly post-colonial literatures. Now, I heard recently about a writer called Thomas Paine. Paine wrote during the American War of Independence. He was not a soldier, nor a politician, but he was credited with enabling America to win the War of Independence. It's a very puzzling thing. And why was that so? Well, simply because his writing represented the United States as a nation and no longer a colony. Now, I think that example is critical for post-colonial literatures that we read, because the role of art and literature in colonised countries has been to imagine the future of people. It could be the future of a nation, but it's certainly the future of this culture. And the effects of political resistance would be useless without the capacity to imagine a future. So that is the importance not only of literature, not only of post-colonial literatures, but the humanities in general. They project our imagination towards the future while grounding us in a deep soil of our cultural reality. And in this way, they give us the capacity to see things might possibly to see the world differently. And so that's to me why I think humanities is so important. In practical terms, they've been shown to be essential to technological and scientific endeavour. But in theoretical terms, the most important thing to me, and it really focuses in the power of literature, is to imagine a different world. And that is a world that we can then enter into. Thank you very much.
That really was a very hopeful image that you have given about humanities for the future.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
and
thank
it's,
you.
it's not that everyone agrees with. I mean, the point is that, Locke said utopia, the kind of utopia that Thomas More invented, is just a fantasy. But without hope, we can't live.
So do we have any questions?
That, I think, is very, very much grounded in the humanities. And it's, for me, particularly imaginative arts, the creative arts of art and literature. And music as well.
So, do you want us to have some questions from our side? Would you be happy
That's
to
up to
answer?
you.
Okay.
It's up to you.
I'm sort of wondering, in light of where you see post-colonial studies heading, we're moving into a sort of place, I think, in post-colonialism that's going a little bit beyond the old paradigm into a more transnational framework. How do you see the connection between post-colonialism and transnationalism? Is there one?
And yeah, may I add to it? Like, I think your very seminal book, The Empire Writes Back, in 1989, and ever since, I mean, how you think post-colonialism has changed. Because what I noticed in that book was you use this replacing with a hyphen.
That's right.
Yeah, which makes a lot of meaning, a lot of connotations to me. And do you think that replacement has taken place?
Firstly, yes, post-colonialism is constantly developing and changing. In the 90s, there was a pretty strong interaction with globalization studies, and the language of globalization took on the cultural language of post-colonialism. And so, in turn, post-colonial analysis extended beyond the former British colonies to look at the processes of imperialism as it continues. So this, of course, bases not only people who occupy territories, but people who exert what we might call neo-colonialism, and imperialism never stopped. And this is the thing, a lot of people have a trouble with post. But post-colonialism is not about a chronology, it's not about ontology, it's about a way of reading. And this way of reading is one that demonstrates the capacity of colonised subjects to take hold of those discourses that oppress them and transform them. Now, for me, transformation is key to post-colonial studies. Now, as far as transnationalism is concerned, I'm involved in a transnational research group, which is quite interesting to me, because transnational covers quite a number of different disciplines, as does post-colonial studies. But I think that my particular take on transnationalism has to do with what I call the transnationalism is now not only crossing the borders of nations,